Welcome Lund loyalists to John Lund Unleashed. Those watching on YouTube, on the John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective channels. Viewers on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Lundos listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. John Lund Unleashed, brought to you by 𝐟𝐸𝐴PLE Sports Medicine. Got pain? Check out our revolutionary stem cell treatments. And guys, if low T is bringing you down, 𝐟𝐸𝐴PLE Sports Medicine can put you back in the game. Now all juiced up and ready to go, here's John.
What's happening? Thanks for joining us. Happy Thursday, downhill side of your week for episode 158, John Lund Unleashed. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel, John Lund Unleashed. Also, please make sure if you're watching on one of the other places, which is totally fine, at John Lund Radio on X, on Instagram. Good morning to you. At least good morning on the West Coast. 9 a.m., 9:02 to be exact. Noon Eastern time. Thank you so much for watching us. If you're back and you're watching us later, that is outstanding. Remember, if you want to ever go back to anything, obviously you can go back. But also, if you go on YouTube, we put the chapters up so you can just click to whatever you want, which is nice. We're also on the Bay Area Sports Collective. You're thinking to yourself, what's that big B in the corner? That's the Bay Area Sports Collective. So that is my show, John Lund Unleashed, Tom Tolbert's show. A lot of us 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭 guys. Rod Brooks is now aboard, which is awesome. Paulie Mack used to be Murph and Mac, and he's with Creative Tony, which is awesome, and they do Paulie Mac's particles. So they will follow me. They are outstanding. And then we've added Amy G, of course, and Jeremy Affelt, so lots of Giants talk there. So make sure that you subscribe to the Bay Area Sports Collectives, because not only will you know when my show is going on, but others as well. And then please, on John Lund Unleashed, I don't mean to make this complicated, but on the John Lund Unleashed channel on YouTube, you can come over right now, hang out. We got a great community of people who hang on the boards and talk and have a good time, and a great group of people there. So you can do that right now. Or, you got your alerts on because we put out stuff throughout the day. And if news breaks, like in the Mount Wade Jr. getting DFA'd, you never know what's going to happen. Or Niners in our OTAs, you never know what's going to happen there. So we always have lots of stuff for you. So please make sure you subscribe. And if you would do me the small favor of hitting the like button so that the algorithm likes us a little bit better so we can grow the community, that would be outstanding. And do remember that if you absolutely positively 100% want to get your questions, comments, thoughts on the show, all you have to do is hit me with a super. It's very cheap. It contributes to the show. It is much appreciated by me and a little bit of staff that we have here. So thank you for that. Before we get out to roll call and see what everybody's doing, again, welcome into the show, episode 158. The new guy, Daniel Johnson. I got to be honest with you. I try to stay up on everything. I don't know who that dude is. The new closer, even though Alex Pavlovich says, well, I can't go on back-to-back days. And I'm not making fun of Alex Pavlovich. I'm just saying that if he's your best guy, that's who should close. Kyle Harrison hurt. It's not that big of a deal. I'll explain. Ramos' big hit. You could see the emotion from it and the frustration, I'm sure, where it comes from, and I'll explain that. Bryce Eldridge at AAA gets a hit. You'll see that. Day baseball today in a great pitching matchup. Brock and Mac and more from 49ers HQ yesterday and OTAs. Also the edge guys, and we'll hear from Nick Bosa, which is always cool, bro, And finally, which is NBA finals. Random things happen throughout the show. So good morning to everybody. I got a ton of stuff. Don't go anywhere because I got a ton of stuff for you, video, audio, little pictures and fun stuff like that. So make sure that you stay. We've got a great show for you today. Good morning to James and Kenny and John, and 831 is here today. Catalina. It is not a show without Joy or Catalina. She keeps everybody in line. They keep everybody in line. Good to see everybody. Good morning to my good friend Dom. Good morning, Dom. It's good to see you, man. Lundatics, or whatever you want to be called, Lund loyalist, whatever. It doesn't matter to me, but that you're here, that's all that matters. So thank you for that. Boy is here this morning as well. It is great to see you, John Joseph. Did I already say that? I don't know, man. My head. The 1420 Pine Needle, our friend, is here today. Lost Crew, it is good to see you today. What else? Enrique is here this morning as well, and lots of other people. Hello, Chris. Good to see you, my friend. There is Joy right there, and others. So good morning. If there is any breaking news, like there was that yesterday that Wade got DFA'd and they blew up first base? It was, I think, or maybe the day before. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, and Dom Smith was put in, and he had one good at bat last night where he hit a liner. Did strike out his first time, had a soft roller. Did make a nice defensive play. We'll see. Jury is still out. He's been a journeyman in his career after being a first-round pick of the Mets in 2013. And I told you this yesterday before we get into, let's just do a quick review. This is very, very simple what they're doing at first base. It's from a timeline standpoint. Let's just throw a dart at a board and see if Dom Smith, he was a first-round pick after all, can catch lightning in a bottle for a month or something. If he can, great. If he can't, we understand. Bryce Eldridge is at AAA. He's going to come up, I think, if not sooner, July 1st. And then they're going to try to make a trade in July for a first baseman. Might not be a bad idea to get a right fielder. I know what Daniel Johnson did last night. Maybe beginner's luck, got a couple of hits and really saved the game with a ball in right field that there's no way I thought he was going to get to. And as good as defensively as Mike Yastrzemski is out there, he might have gotten a great jump and caught that ball, but that was pure athleticism catching that ball. So I don't know that Mike Yastrzemski makes that catch. And at the time, definitely saved the game. Randy Rodriguez gets the save. Kyle Harrison gets hit in the back, and he was just okay when he was in there. And I like Kyle Harrison, but I would move him for a bat. I think there's a team out there that was like, guy was at one point the best left-handed prospect in the game, and I think that that's the guy that the Giants could use to get a bat this season. Could he turn into Zach Wheeler? I suppose. But I think there's only one Zach Wheeler, and I don't think you can be gutless or scared or afraid of what may happen when you need a stick. When pitching, I've said this again and again, when pitching is this good, generally for this team, you have a responsibility to your pitching staff, which doesn't happen every day, every year, that this happens, that you've got to go out and get yourself a legit stick. I'm not talking about some let's see. And I'll expand this conversation from first base to second base, because I like Tyler Fitzgerald's athleticism, but 2 home runs and 7 RBIs, just not getting it done. I don't know what happened to his power in his stick, but it's not happening. Adames is Adames. We talk about this every day, so I'm not going to go through the entire lineup. But right field, first base, second base, they could use an upgrade in a few different places, because you're going to keep Patrick Bailey in the lineup. So there's even though he's been better this month, but today's June 5th. So I'm sorry if I don't jump up and down for Patrick Bailey, because it is, and I hate this term, small sample size, but it is the ultimate small sample size. So I'm not going to get all excited about Patrick Bailey, who still doesn't work at bats like he should. So that's what's going on as far as that goes. So that's the timeline, I should say, at first base. All right, let's get to stuff. If you did not see the game last night, Giants win 6-5, and amongst many plays, and just as kind of an affront or a lead off to this whole thing, it's so difficult for the Giants to win games right now. Like, they win a 6-5 game last night. They're down 5-0. They come back. Ramos gets this big hit, which I'll play in a second. Daniel Johnson has to make this great catch in left. Chapman has to hit a home run. The bullpen has to come in early because Kyle Harrison gets a contusion. Like, it's just so hard for them to win games right now. It's just difficult, and then, Walker can't get it done. They can't use Duvall because he blew the save the night before and threw too many pitches. Now Walker comes in. Walker's a shell of his former self, and Randy Rodriguez is going to cut him out of the pen to save the thing at the end. And he made it look really, really, really easy. But the whole game was hard. And right now it's just really hard. And so many things have to go right for the Giants to just barely eke out a 6-5 win last night. So that's kind of what's going on. But the new guy, as you can see on the cover there, Daniel Johnson. Who? Yeah, I don't know. If you didn't know who he was, I didn't know who he was. There he is. His career consists of 94 at-bats, as you can see, 20 for 94, a sparkling .213 batting average. I mean, it's like, what? Who is this guy? A career on-base percentage of .253, a career OPS of .593, but they thought to themselves, what the hell? He's got some athleticism, clearly. Gets 2 hits last night, but the biggest way that Daniel Johnson endeared himself to the fans of San Francisco at Oracle Park last night was this catch. I mean, as Mike Krukow was about ready to say before I cut him off, that ties the game. At that particular point, you had Tatis, I think it was, at first base. And when that ball was first hit, I was like, there's no way. There's no way that dude's getting to that ball. If Encarnacion is in right field, no chance. If Yastrzemski's in right, maybe, because he gets great jumps. Daniel Johnson had never played right field at Oracle Park. And that's just, it's not an easy place to play. We talk about it all the time, the angles, and that was just an athletic go get it kind of a play, like a deep wide receiver running under a bang eight or something like that, or a deep ball or whatever the case may be. But I mean, that was just a great, great catch, saved the game. But that's what I'm saying is it's so hard right now for the Giants to win a game, and they just have to have so many great plays made. So there's Daniel Johnson. That's the big part of it, the new guy. And to me, let me just play Randy Rodriguez at the end here, just because I just thought that Rodriguez was awesome. Let me see here. Ramos's big hit. Yeah. Where's here it is. Here's Randy Rodriguez. He was going to say again, I cut him off. Not good at editing by me. Feels like the biggest win of the year, and it does, and it did. And they just needed it. They're just like, damn, we're losing these 2-1s, and they're down 5-0. So you're thinking, well, this offense isn't coming back. And then Chapman gets the home run. And, the defensive play I just showed, Randy Rodriguez had to come in to save Ryan Walker, who just doesn't have it. I mean, he just doesn't have it. Hopefully he can get it back at some point this year, but right now he just doesn't have it. But this was the biggest hit of the game, as you can see right there, Ramos' big hit. Here's Ramos, and you can see the emotion pour out of him as he's standing on second base. That's just not normal emotion that's coming out of Heliot Ramos. It's like, finally, damn, they work every single day on this stuff, and they just can't seem to get the key hit. Ramos is having a great season, but the night before he had a couple opportunities. The right guys have been at the plate. That's the thing, is it's not always your 7, 8, 9, your Baileys and Fitzgeralds and guys at the bottom. Ramos has had opportunities, even though he was good on the road trip, had opportunities since they've been home. Had a couple of games where he was up at the plate at certain times, hit into a double play the night before with the bases loaded. It hadn't happened. And so for him, you could see the emotion, but really it was for the whole team. And then Jung-Hoo Lee comes up. He knocks in a run with a sac fly, has a good at bat, and they take a 6-5 lead. Walker almost blows it. Rodriguez comes in, saves it. Johnson has to make a great catch. It's just, all across the board. Dominic Smith, strikeout, slow roller, line out to first. He made a nice defensive play. I mean, just all these things had to happen for the Giants to eke out a win against the Padres. So right now, and it's a nice win, don't get me wrong, 6 runs, we've been complaining that it's been since 4 runs or more. We know what their record is, and really this is not just a Giants thing, this is across baseball. 4 is the magic number. You get 4, you win about 75% of your games at 4+ runs, especially with this team, with this pitching staff and this relief corps that they have. And I know the night before Duvall blew it, but they generally have been really, really good coming out of the pen, and that's what happened last night is Randy Rodriguez. And as far as he is concerned, he's my closer. Right now, this is how the Giants have to look at things. To me, I want to get your thoughts. They've got to be in pure desperation mode. I know where we are in the season, but it's almost like in a game, and a manager will bring in, not maybe his closer, but a really good high-leverage pitcher in the 6th inning or the 5th inning, because they realize this, we may not make it to the 9th inning, so we got to bring in our guy now, because this is the most important part of the game. Managers do that all the time now, not closers. I'm not saying that, but a high leverage guy that in the past might have been a 7th or an 8th inning guy is now coming in games in baseball in maybe the 5th inning, because it's like, oh, this is the moment of the game, and they're not afraid to use him, because it's like, well, if I save the guy, we may not get another opportunity like that. What am I saving him for? And that's where the Giants are in the season, if that makes sense. If you don't start winning some games, if you don't start scoring some runs, if you don't start acting with some urgency, Buster Posey and San Francisco Giants, Buster's running things. I'm not saying it's his fault. Players play, coaches coach, management manages. But you've got to look at your team right now in desperation mode. They are spiraling. And so, they made a big change, obviously, with Lamont Wade Jr. out, Dominic Smith in, Bryce Eldridge moves up. They bring in a guy, Daniel Johnson. Well, it's the same thing. You can't do one thing one way and then all of a sudden, no, but we're not going to do this. Like Randy Rodriguez right now, keep the flow going of what you're doing. You're managing this team now with an urgency. No more Lamont Wade Jr. No more screwing around. Okay, let's get in place here. Let's make major moves. We've waited long enough. They probably have waited too long. But because the wild card is going to be so competitive, you've got to make urgent moves now, because if you do it later, you might be out of the race and it may not matter. So that's what I'm talking about with high leverage guys, is that, you don't wait till 8th or 9th inning now for high leverage. It might be the 5th inning is your high leverage. Exactly the same point here. We're just over a third of the way through the season. Your point of things being critical is right now. So you just made these major moves within the organization. You got to do the same with your closer. And I'm not saying that Duvall has deserved to lose the job, but someone's better. Randy Rodriguez last night, when he came in for Ryan Walker, he made it look easy. Like when Duvall comes in, I got to go get a bottle of whiskey and start pouring myself shots. I mean, he gets it done a lot of times, but it's not without a little bit of nervousness. And sometimes that's just how closers are. Brian Wilson was that way. I mean, lots of closers are that way, but they get it done. You know, maybe they need their back against the wall to pitch their best. Randy Rodriguez last night is what Duvall had been in the past. This guy's gassing it up over 100 miles an hour. He's throwing a bender. He's throwing a changeup. It's like, what the hell? You know, Jackson Merrill's a really good young hitter. He made him look silly. And if I'm Bob Melvin, I don't care about back-to-back days. He hasn't done this. Hasn't done that. I don't give a shit. This is your best guy. This is your closer until further notice. And why do they have to say this is the guy now? Like, it's like quarterbacks. Can't take a quarterback out. He's very fragile. I don't care. Like, you can at every other position. If a guy's not hitting well, you know, first baseman or something, he doesn't play for a minute. Same thing. Duvall's been really, really good. Don't get me wrong. But Randy Rodriguez is the best option to close. It was easy last night. This dude is on fire. His ERA is like below 7. Isn't like, I don't think it's 0.69 nice, but I mean, it's, you know, dude, I think it was 0.68 going into last night. And that's your best pitcher. That's your best bullpen arm. He closes. Duvall, you're the 8th. I don't know what you're going to do, Ryan Walker, until further notice. TBA, to be announced. Because last night Ryan Walker just didn't have it. He couldn't place the ball early on. Kruk said it right during the broadcast. It was like, this dude, that ball ain't going where he wants it to go. He didn't know. So until further notice, again, same thing they should have done with Lamont Wade Jr. Maybe he needs a minute. Maybe he needs to go out, go back to Arizona, chill for 5-10 days. There's other guys who can suck it up in his stead. You know, you got Sean Jelly back. There's things you can do. Don't wait too long, because Ryan Walker at some point, they're going to need him, and I think he can come back. But banging your head against the wall with Ryan Walker, who's already said he's having mental problems, go give him a 10-day break. Go down to Arizona, work on a couple of things, take a mental break, chill out, because we're going to need you at some point. But right now, I can't trust Ryan Walker. So what I would do is I'd put Rodriguez in the 9th. I'd put Duvall in the 8th. I would, Rogers is normally the 7th. Like, I'm okay. I got enough arms down there. I'm going to be fine. You're already missing Hicks. I understand that, but there, maybe there's a guy, I don't know. But the reality of it is right now, Ryan Walker is not doing you any favors. And Rodriguez is easily your best guy. So to go along with the theme of we are, I won't say desperate, but we are urgent as an organization. The urgency of the organization to stay in this race, which they are dangerously close to falling out of, is we can't wait. I'm not going to wait to make Randy Rodriguez, who is clearly my best bullpen arm, the closer. I don't care. Yeah, he can't do back-to-back this, that. Yes, you can. You can. He can. He's that good. So anyway, there's my thoughts on what's going on with the Giants. The new guy, Daniel Johnson, 2 hits and a game-saving catch. The new closer, I would make Randy Rodriguez. Kyle Harrison. Let me get to Kyle Harrison. I'm going to give you just a little thing here. Not that this really, does anything, but there you go. Our friend Alex Pavlovich. Left elbow contusion, fancy name for a bruise. Extra day off, blah, blah, blah. Let's see how it goes the next few days. That could be something where Justin Verlander is back and can take that spot in the rotation. I've made myself known as far as Kyle Harrison. Love the kid. Had him on numerous times. The first time I had Kyle Harrison on one of my shows, he was in the Futures game, and he had just gotten his ass handed to him. So we're like, Kyle Harrison's going to come on the next day. Cool. And then I watched the Futures game, and he was terrible. Or he wasn't terrible. He just got lit up. And then but right after that, I'm like, sorry, we're bad luck, and talked to him at spring training. And he's just a great kid. He really, really is. Very mature, very smart, knows the game, knows his pitching, knows his mechanics, knows his history. Like, great kid. Not one thing to say bad about him, but like I said, he's just, he elevates a fastball. He's got a couple of pitches. He's just okay, he's just okay. He's not Hayden Birdsong in terms of his potential. Could he turn into that? Yeah, you see times where it's like he can be really dominant. He was just okay last night. And when he got hit, that was unfortunate because at that point, he gets nailed. I guess they're saying elbow. I thought it was his back, but I guess it's his elbow, and the ball bounces, and Fitzgerald's going after the ball, and then the thing where Fitzgerald was standing goes into right field, and he gets 2-run single against him, and then he's out of the game because of the contusion. It wasn't all his fault, but he was just okay. And as I look at this rotation, especially this offense, okay is not going to get it done. Again, sense of urgency within the organization. So Robbie Ray's pitching today. What a great matchup. Robbie Ray versus Dylan Cease today at the Yard for day baseball. Robbie Ray's pitching amazing. Logan Webb's Logan Webb. Birdsong. Roop is pitching great. I expect Verlander to be okay if he's going to be your fifth starter. That's all right. I don't know where Kyle Harrison fits. When Kyle Harrison gets healthy again, and it's too early for the trade deadline, but if there's a pitcher that I'm willing to give up, and I don't think a lot of people would say this, and lots of people probably wouldn't agree because he's still got upside, Kyle Harrison. I'm not saying he doesn't. I think ultimately he might be a reliever in this league, but that rising fastball that's up there at 95, if he doesn't have to go through the lineup 3 times, I think he could be really, really, really effective. So you want to trade me Brent Rooker and he can play left field and Ramos moves to right. You want to trade, you want to get me a legit bat, and there's a team like Oakland's the perfect Oakland. The Athletics, the A's, are the perfect team for the Giants to trade with because, first of all, the A's have lost, I don't know how many, what have they lost, like 15 or 16 or something. And ironically enough, George and I, my son and I, were at the only game they did win a couple of weeks ago. But they've got great young hitting, just great young hitting on that team. And they don't have any pitching. Their pitching is awful. I think it might be the worst in baseball now. But Kyle Harrison would be perfect for that team. Put Kyle Harrison in that, and he's gonna get the ball every 5th day. Hell, he might be their number 1 starter here, J.P. Sears or something like that, Severino, whoever it is. But I mean, they'd love to have that guy. And now here you are with Kyle Harrison on the A's, and I don't know, Rooker or Andujar or whatever. They're not going to get some, they're not getting Soderstrom. They're not getting Law Dog. They're not getting, some of these other young hitters that they have. But Rooker's a guy that he's having a solid season. They just signed him to, I think, a $66 million contract. That's not egregious. That's not terrible. The Giants could absorb that pretty easily. So, that's one move that they could make. Rooker could play left field. You can move Ramos over to right field. Good to go. No offense, Daniel Johnson, but I don't believe it. He did 1 game. Wonderful. They need a stick. And so even if it's not the A's, which I think would be a good trade partner, like I said, Baltimore is a team that is out of it, has some sticks. The Marlins have a player or two that you could look at. There's not a lot of teams that are out of it. But if you said to people, might be an overpay for Kyle Harrison, he's still got big upside. A couple of years ago, he was the number 1 left-handed pitching prospect in the game. Could he turn into the next version of Zach Wheeler? I suppose he could. I don't think he is, but I suppose he could. But you can't be afraid. They need to be in urgent mode right now. So yesterday you did all these things that told us you were in urgent mode. You have to be consistent in that now. You've decided, okay, that first base wasn't good enough. It's not. Right field wasn't good enough. It's not. Other aspects of it, you've got to get offense for this pitching staff. This is a pitching staff, starters, relievers, that could be a championship type of pitching staff. But your hitting is woeful. It's terrible. So you've got right field, you've got first base, you might have second base now. I just don't think Fitzgerald's good enough. He's a really nice athlete, but that power he showed when he hit 15 home runs last year, 16, whatever, he hit a bunch in about a 6-week period. He hasn't shown any of that power. So that's been confusing, but I like that he's an athlete. I like, it's not that super U guy. He's a good enough athlete to play second, short, probably play the outfield. He could play in a lot of different places, Tyler Fitzgerald. He'd be a great super U. He really would. If you had a solid second baseman, they've got to look everywhere. Second base, first base, right field. Those 3 places, I've added second base now to it. They've got to get sticks. That's all there is to it. And they're not 1 stick away. They're a lot more than that away. So that's what's going on with the Giants. One more thing from the Giants before we move on here. Bryce Eldridge got a hit last night in his AAA debut.
Dog night as the 1-0. That's going to be hit into right field, a base hit.
A base hit for Bryce Eldridge. Yeah, I don't know that was the biggest rocket that Bryce Eldridge has ever hit, but like I said, timeline-wise, they didn't bring Bryce Eldridge up to take a look at the Capitol in California. They brought him up because if Dominic Smith, which is probably the case, doesn't get it done over the next few weeks here, we're going to see Bryce Eldridge, like it or not, ready or not, defensive ready or not. We're going to see Bryce Eldridge. That's just the way it is. And Buster Posey told you so. I mean, he basically said, if I can encapsulate it quickly, is, yeah, the kid needs more time, but it's about winning at the major league level. That's what he said the other day. So what he's telling you is, because of desperation, we may have to rush the guy up. I mean, it's desperate that you go down to the Yankees AAA affiliate and say, hey, can we get Dom Smith out of his contract, which was up June 1. He had an out on June 1 so that we could see what this guy could do. I mean, he does have a bit of a pedigree, former first-round pick of the Mets in 2013, but then at that point he bounced all around. So it's not like, he's established or anything, but they looked around the rest of Major League Baseball. I said this yesterday, and he wasn't calling other teams. Teams were calling him going, yeah, you got a pretty bad deal there at first base. How about you give us, Birdsong, Harrison, they're just ripe for trying to rip off the Giants. And they're going, no. And the closer you get to the deadline, the more your leverage improves. And that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to buy time. Dominic Smith, okay. Bryce Eldridge, maybe not ready. He's only 20. And then they'll make a trade at some point in July, and they'll see if Bryce Eldridge can give him a kick. But it's not just about first base. That's not enough. They brought in Daniel Johnson again to buy time. Hopefully they're finally to the realization that while Mike Yastrzemski is a hell of a guy, he's a fourth outfielder. And that while Lamont Wade Jr. is a hell of a guy, he's not going to get it done this year. It's just not going to turn around. And they've got to be culpable for that, because I asked a ton of times to throw him down to Arizona and get him rehabbed mentally, physically, whatever. And they never did that. So some of it is on them. There's no question about it. So that's what's going on as far as the Giants go. Episode 158, the new guy, Daniel Johnson, saves the game. The new closer should be Randy Rodriguez. Kyle Harrison is hurt. That's okay. I think eventually he could be traded this year. Ramos got the big hit, and you could see the emotion flowing out of him last night. That was a complete roster or offensive frustration to finally get that big hit last night. Eldridge, I showed you his AAA, and we got into the timeline for Bryce Eldridge. Today, by the way, if you're going to a game, just get out of there. You don't need to stay at work today. Look at that matchup. Dylan Cease is not having a great year. 1-4, 465. He's got too much talent I don't understand him. But Robbie Ray, all-star numbers there, 7-1 to the 243. He's given him a chance basically after the first couple of starts, in every start he's had. He's been tremendous. Major League Baseball's pitcher of the month for May. So Ray versus Cease today. If you're going to the yard, today would be a wonderful day to go. So it's a great pitching matchup today. So that's what's going on as far as the Giants go. Lots of good stuff. Before I move on to, and I have a ton of stuff from OTA, so don't go anywhere if you're a Niners fan. I got a bunch of stuff, but what's going on today hey, look at that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Our good friend Daniel Ogden is the best. He's helping with Tolbert Show, by the way, Bay Area Sports Collective. Ogden is awesome. Used to produce my show both at 95.7 The Game, and I think also, at KNBR as well. Awesome guy. Let me see. He's talking about the Tolbert Show. Stand by for call back. Seriously? Who's got duty? Who's got jury duty? Anyway, anything with Giants, and then I'll move on to Niners. If the Giants trade Harrison, we will suffer with a Wheeler. Maybe. I mean, that's the chance you got to take right now, because the pitching is so good. The pitching is so good that you can't go through a season like this. It doesn't happen every year. There's injuries to your pitching staff. Somebody gets a TJ, somebody this, that, the other. Logan Webb is not going to be like a pitching machine like he is right now. 7 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings. That's not going to go forever. And all of a sudden you lose that guy, then what? So Logan Webb is awesome. Robbie Ray is awesome. Birdsong is going to get into that 3 role, and he's going to be really, really good. And your 4 spot, Landon Root right now is pitching his ass off. Verlander, I think at some point is going to be solid enough, and you have the best bullpen in baseball. That doesn't happen every year. All of a sudden next year, Randy Rodriguez can't find it, just like Ryan Walker can't find it now. Like, bullpens fluctuate year to year. You've got the best bullpen in baseball. You have a good starting staff, and yet you went 13-14 in May, even though both the starters and the relievers were great in May. You've got to get sticks. You have a responsibility to your pitching staff to get sticks. So if it takes Harrison, it takes Harrison. Right now, he's a luxury you cannot afford. You're so bad on one side of the ball and so good on the other. You got to balance that out. You have excess pitching anyway. And here's the other thing that we don't talk about. Pitchers will sign here. So if you lose a Harrison, he turns into a Wheeler, go sign somebody. That's what they do. Guys will pitch here. They don't want to hit here, but they will come and pitch here. You pay them enough money, they'll pitch here. So go do it. From Kevin Gausman, who you rehabbed, to Carlos Rodon, to Verlander signing this year. I'm not saying that all those guys worked, but guys will sign here. There's a history of it in this park. Hell yeah, I'll pitch in San Francisco. But hitters, whoa, you got to trade for hitting. You got to develop and sign pitching. It's that simple for the Giants. So if you have excess pitching, simple equation here. Trade excess pitching for hitting. That's what you do. And I don't know why Farhan just wouldn't do it. And plus, beyond Harrison, they have guys. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿 is supposed to be good. There's Joe Whitman. We forgot about Mason Black. Like, I don't know if any of those guys can pitch, but they've got reinforcements in the minors who are supposedly pretty good. And even if they don't, guys will sign here. It's just money. It's not my money. And the Giants act like they're a mid-market team, not a major market team. But reality is pitching will sign here. So if you lose pitching, you can sign more pitching. Can't sign more hitting. You have to make the hitters come here. We traded for you. You have to play here. No, I don't. You're under contract, bro. Like getting Rooker, like people are like, oh, Rooker he signed a $66 million deal. That's not a huge deal. It's like 4 and 66 or something. You know, that's what you do. He's under contract. He's got to hit here. That's what you do if you're the Giants. You trade for the hitting, so they have to come. Sorry, I don't want to come here. Sorry, we just traded for your contract. And then you sign the pitching, you develop the pitching, whatever. You've got a park the pitchers want to pitch in. So if you lose pitching, you go sign pitching. You lose bats or you don't have bats. Pete Alonso, would you like to? What, hello? Is this thing on? No. He won't take your call. So you got to trade for it. It's a really simple equation that for some reason Farhan was like hoarding all of his pitching and it was like, hey, dude, you need sticks. You can't let down this pitching staff. It doesn't come along that often. All right, let's get some NFL stuff. Let's get to some Niners stuff today because there's a ton of stuff going on at 49ers OTA. So again, new guy, new closer, Harrison hurt, Ramos big hit, Eldridge AAA got a hit, Dave baseball, awesome pitching matchup. And we went on a bit of a tangent about how the Giants philosophically should build their team. All right, that's enough. Let's go to the football side of things. Let's start here. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, thanks to Matt Barrows. That 47 right there, yeah, that's Bryce Huff, the new edge rusher for the Giants. There's Chris Kusarek. Look at him. Do this. So you're not going to learn a whole lot, but people love watching this stuff. So I'll let it run for a second. Oh, look at the get off. Oh, look at him. He's getting ready. So he's going to be a third down pass rush specialist. Chris Kasarek's going to scream at him here, but you can't hear it because I'm talking. And there he is, in the flesh, signed, passed the physical, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't look like a huge guy, but he's listed at 6'3", 255. And that is the man who on third downs is going to rush opposite Nick Bosa. So I do have some Nick Bosa sound for you. Hey, bro, what's going on? Here's Nick Bosa. And when he's asked, the reporter, when he asked the question, he says Huff, which his name is Bryce Huff. But Bosa is conditioned that Huff is Talanoa Hufanga, right? So for Nick Bosa, it kind of took him a second. Huff, what are you talking about? Huff's not here. Huff's not here, man. Dave's not here. So here is Nick Bosa on what he expects from new 49er Bryce Huff. After a second of saying, oh, that Huff.
Thinking of Hufanga. I mean, I think he's going to be our pass rush other side end, so that's a pretty big position to have. And I mean, he was one of the guys that I like to really watch when he was with the Jets, and obviously it didn't work out with the Eagles, but I mean, when you take a guy who's playing a 4-down attack front and then you put him in as an outside backer, it's not always going to work out so great. So he's really elite at a certain thing, so we're going to use him that way, and I'm excited.
All right, so after it took a second, hey, bro, like if you didn't know Nick Bosa, he's just like, he's the healthiest of health nuts. You would think he was like a stoner surfer dude from SoCal, like even though he's like a very regimented and disciplined guy from Florida. But you would think, hey, bro, what's going on? I just woke up and smoked a fatty. Like he's really, the Cody Bellinger memes that you see, like that's how he actually talks. But he's very, very bright and smart and knows everything and everything like that. So after he figured out it wasn't Hufanga, it was Bryce Huff they were talking about, he said what everybody said. I played yesterday for you. Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, used to be with the Niners, of course, talking about how Bryce Huff had that hand issue last year. And that was one of the main reasons. By the time Huff came back, they had other guys who had emerged. And as Nick said there, I don't know why he signed in Philadelphia, because he's purely an edge third down pass rusher. He does not set an edge as far as the run game. That's what Mykel Williams does. I'll play something for you from Nick that I think is encouraging from his first impression on the first round pick, Mykel Williams from Georgia. And I'll tell you another story that tells you that's kind of encouraging as well in this guy. But as far as Huff is concerned, Bryce Huff, he's going to be a third down edge guy. He's going to come in. He's going to knock Mykel Williams on the inside for their turbo package, which is what their pass rushing package is called. And he's going to be on the outside, and Williams is going to be on the inside, and Bosa is going to be on the other side. And then I don't know who their fourth guy is going to be as far as a defensive tackle. Probably somebody who can push the pocket, but also possibly get to the quarterback. Maybe that's Collins. Maybe that's Gibbons. Maybe that's whatever. But that's what their hope is there. And you heard Nick Bosa talk about it. And I think, again, he's miscast as an outside linebacker. He doesn't want to go backwards. You want that guy just going forwards on third down. And he had the 10 sacks and everything. So to me, and I put this on the thing there, Huff is key. He's the key. I'm not going to say to the entire defense, because there's a number of those guys. Like, I know what Bosa's going to do. I know what Warner's going to do. What's Nick Martin going to do? What's Huff going to do? If he's a double-digit sack guy opposite Bosa, you could be looking at the 19 season when they had D Ford for a minute. This guy's like D Ford. Pure speed off the edge. He's going to try to stop the run on the way there, but if he's in the game, they're getting after the quarterback. He's pinning his ears back. It's a wide 9, so you got these guys way out. Let me turn like that. Way out, and they're just coming in. And that's what he does. And so they're hoping he can be the guy with the Jets. I don't know why I couldn't be, because a lot of times in sports, it doesn't matter what sport, what position are you putting me in? Are you asking me to do something I've been successful with in the past or not? Because if you're asking me to do something else, like they were in Philly, like let's play outside linebacker and move backwards. And by the way, Nick is making reference to his brother Joey, because Joey, when he was with the Chargers, they switched to a 3-4, and he had to be an outside linebacker. And he's like, I don't dig this. And then when they put him back, hand in the ground, and he's just rushing the passer, it's like, okay, this is what I do. Don't make me go backwards. I'm a forwards guy. I want to go forward at the quarterback. Don't make me go back. Like on the very, 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 very rare occasion that I see Nick Bosa like fake and then go back in coverage, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's very, very rare. Just you get like a zone blitz or something and somebody else is coming or whatever. Very, very, very rare. But it's like, why would you do that? You're not doing that. You're not putting him back. The best thing he does is go forward. So it's the same thing with Bryce Huff. Why would you make the guy an outside linebacker? He doesn't do that. He's very specialized in what he does. He's not an edge setter or anything like that. He goes forward at the passer. And so that's what he's going to do. This is encouraging to me. Here is Nick, and I hope you can hear this. The audio is kind of low, but here's Nick talking about first-round pick Mykel Williams and his impression so far.
Eagerness to learn, more so than I've seen probably from any young guy. He just wants to learn as much as he can, and I'm excited to give all the knowledge I can to him, and I think he's got a ton of talent, so sky's the limit.
Now, the thing, and I'm sorry that audio was low, the thing about Mykel Williams that I'm seeing so far is, number one, everybody says nice things at OTAs about everybody. So it doesn't mean that Mykel Williams is going to be great. But the thing that everybody says about him is he's eager to learn. He doesn't think he knows things. Again, this is a 20-year-old kid who had the least amount of snaps of any edge rusher that was in the 2025 NFL draft. It's going to take him a minute. It's going to. It's just, we see this at quarterback all the time where it's like he just didn't have enough reps. And then you have other guys coming into the league like Brock Purdy, who started for 4 years, and you go, oh, that's what it is. And you have a Trey Lance who's 20 coming into the league going, how come he's not better? Because he didn't get enough reps in college. You didn't see enough. And so it's going to take Mykel Williams a minute, and that's why he's going to set edge on first down, and Huff's going to come in and rush the passer on third down. That's just how it's going to be. But the thing I saw yesterday that I thought was really encouraging was I saw him talking to Trent Williams. That's what you do. Hey, Trent, how do I set this up? There's twofold. Number one, Trent Williams is a mountain of a man. I've had him on my show. We go to training camp every single year. He's on every year. He's got the sleeves cut off in his sweatshirt. I always give him shit. And I'm like, dude, if I were you, I would never put on a shirt that ever had sleeves. I would just walk around either shirtless or I would have, like my tailor cuts off all my sleeves. I don't want to look ripped and, all that kind of stuff. I just, nice, hem them up, whatever. But I mean, I don't care if it's a suit and cutting them off. Like, I'm just walking around with the guns all the time out. 100% of the time, not 99, 100% of the time. But anyway, that's besides the point. I saw him talking with him and trying to get knowledge. But the other thing is that I'm not going to say he's as big as Trent, but he's damn close. And the guy's a freak athlete. And Trent Williams is a freak athlete. So I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's an edge who I think they're going to kick down in third down and bring Huff on the outside and bring Mikael Williams, if he can handle it, to the inside against a guard and uses quickness and athleticism. But he's a big dude. He's wearing 98, and he was a Trent Williams, and they were talking. It was like, this dude's a big dude. Like, he doesn't look smaller than Trent Williams. He is a little bit, but Trent Williams is massive. And this dude's a big athletic dude. So whatever that means. Very impressive looking dude. So that's the defensive side of things. Huff can make so many things easier on a Nick Martin, on the secondary. We've talked about that a million times. So there's Bosa on Huff. There's Bosa on Mikael Williams. All positive things. All right, the big story that came out yesterday, Mac Jones spoke for the first time to the local media. And, of course, we go back to 2021, and everybody thought the Niners were going to take Mac Jones. They don't take Mac Jones. I'd heard late in that process. In fact, I did a thing on ESPN. They were doing the top 5 or 10 picks or whatever, and they did local media members, and you popped on, and you would say, with the third pick in the 2021 NFL draft, the 49ers select, San Francisco 49ers select, and I said Trey Lance, because I'd heard Trey Lance, and they're like, oh, whoa, Trey Lance, I thought they were going to take Mac Jones, and it was a big deal, and I'm like, I'm hearing they're going to take Trey. That was like a day or two before or whatever, but so everybody knows that whole story. So here is Brock Purdy at the podium yesterday talking about actually Mac Jones hosted him at Alabama on a visit.
We talked about that and joked around with it a little bit, just him being at Alabama and really before he took off too with his career and the amazing, obviously the national championship run he had and then getting drafted and everything. So it's pretty cool. Just we were both like just young kids, both heading into college and then now here we are on the same team, man. It's pretty cool.
I guess they played video games all night is exactly what they did. And Alabama probably didn't offer Brock Purdy. They're like, this guy? Seriously? We've already got one of those guys in Mac Jones. So kind of funny that Mac Jones would be the 15th overall pick in 21 and heralded and had a good rookie season with the Patriots. And then Brock Purdy would, be Mr. Irrelevant and everything happened the way that it did. Here's Mac Jones talking about his ability to become the next Sam Darnold.
Played in the system really well, and that's the enticing part about it. And obviously I'm going to be my own person, and my goal is to be ready when I have to play or if that comes up. And that's all you can do is put your best foot forward every day, learn from every rep you get and every rep you don't get. Being back there, watching Brock like I talked about, and then have had a good OTA so far and just got to continue to build on that.
It must be weird for him thinking to himself, okay, wait a minute. I was Alabama's quarterback. He was just some kid, and I was big man on campus. Then I get drafted 15th overall by Belichick and the Patriots, have a good rookie year, and then now how the hell did I get here? Obviously through Jacksonville and all those kind of things, but he's looking up going, okay, wait a minute. I was 15th. He was 262. He just got paid a boatload. I'm trying to resurrect my career. I'm here with Kyle Shanahan. To me, I know this is going to be not going to be one of the main stories of training camp, but watching him, I'm going to be interested in watching him because I haven't seen a ton of Mac Jones. When he was with the Patriots, they just tried to minimize his role and play defense, and he was good enough at doing that. And then all the stories started coming out of New England, and we've talked to people about it, and he's not a good guy and all these things. We're like, we'll see. The one thing we did hear, I can't remember, somebody was on my show, and they said this, is like Mac Jones can talk the talk. So in other words, during training camp and during these sessions, everything, he can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and he's really impressive, and then he goes on the field and he stinks. So we'll see. People out of New England were saying that about Mac Jones. But to me, it's interesting to me. Can he become that kind of a guy? At Alabama, the thing always, his senior year, I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I think I'm right. His senior year stats were 43 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They win a national title. And then there's that picture of him smoking the cigar, and he's got the Tom Brady bod from the combine. He's got this pudgy stomach and all those kind of things. And again, people in glass houses should not cast stones, but that's what I'm doing. He's an athlete. I'm not. So, here he is, and everyone's like, draft that guy. I mean, honestly, if we go back to that day, and I don't know that people want to do that, but I was convinced they were going to take him. But then I started hearing the other thing, and some of the other thing was, wait a minute, the guy who was smoking the cigar in the locker room, the pudgy guy, we traded all the way from 12 to get that guy. And then, I think they wanted him. And then all of a sudden it was like, we can't sell this to our fans. We can't do that. We got to get we got to get somebody flashier. And you remember Fields was in the draft and obviously Trey's in the draft. And it came down to Fields, Trey, or Mac Jones. And I'm convinced that they just didn't feel like they could sell Mac Jones to their fan base. Now, I don't know if Mac Jones turns into Brock Purdy if he's put in that different position. Like, you remember the movie Trading Places, Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd? I'll bet you $1. They can turn, what was it? I know his last, Reggie Valentine or something like that was Eddie Murphy's character. And he was a guy on the street. Remember, he was a hustler. And they take Dan Aykroyd and he becomes on the street, and Eddie Murphy becomes the big trader. And they, and those Mortimer and the two brothers. And I think they bet $1 that they can turn Eddie Murphy into this great stockbroker, which they do. If you haven't seen the movie, it's just okay. But anyway, so it's called Trading Places. If you put Mac Jones in that position where Brock Purdy was, and Brock Purdy in as the starter of the Patriots, would they be totally different? I don't know. I mean, that's the narrative from a national media standpoint is, you can put anybody in there. You can put anybody. Like, I think Florio was saying that. Like, you put Mac Jones in there. I think Orlovsky said that. You can put Mac Jones in there. He'd be doing the same thing. We'll see. And there's a confidence issue, a mental issue, all these different things. I don't know if they had drafted Mac Jones. Would Mac Jones be where he is now and he'd be bouncing around the league, or would Mac Jones be, what Brock Purdy is? I don't know. But I just know this. When he had 43 touchdowns and 4 interceptions his senior at Alabama, they just had so much talent around him. It was just like bing, 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 bing. Just, get it out to somebody and you'll be fine. Just get it out of your hand. And that's what so I'm guilty of saying that because a lot of people feel that way about Brock Purdy. And I don't. I think Brock Purdy is really, really good. I think he can decipher a defense. He knows what's going on. He gets rid of the ball. He goes through his reads. He anticipates, like, all these mental things that Brock can do, which are more critical to the position than actually the physical things, the arm strength and all that kind of stuff. Those things are way overrated. But teams pick those players in the first round to cover their ass. It's called CYA. It's cover your ass mode. And then they go to the owner and they go, hey, man, I took the 6'4", 220 rocket armed. Yeah, but he had a 2-cent head. Like, you should get in trouble for taking the guy with the 2-cent head. You talk to him. The game is the best players of all time. As good as Mahomes is physically, he gets it mentally. Montana, Brady, those guys aren't the most physically gifted guys, and they're seen as, by most, as the top 2 quarterbacks of all time in Brady and Montana in some order. And Mahomes is going to join him at some point, and his physical skills are superior to those 2 players. But don't get it wrong. But Patrick Mahomes knows what's going on out there. Patrick Mahomes is a hell of a competitor. There's a mental side to what he does. So that's what all quarterbacks must have. And for some reason, teams just forget it. And they look at the physical side over the mental side when they should be looking at the other. Like, this guy can really decipher it. Now, if he has a noodle arm, that's a problem. Yeah, you try to marry the two the best you can. So, yeah, to me, Mac Jones is interesting because if he had come here with the 3rd overall pick, I think he would be fine. I think he would have been much better. Would he be as good as Brock Purdy? I don't think so, because that's not giving Brock Purdy enough credit. That's what it comes down to for me. Brock Purdy's good, and everybody thinks that he landed in this great position, and for some reason they call playing in Kyle Shanahan's offense easy. There's nothing easy about the quarterback position in the NFL. Nothing, not one thing. The way that Brock works, the way that Brock has the respect of his teammates, all these different things, it tells you everything you need to know. Like, the players know. They know a fraud, and they're going to call out a fraud. I've never heard one person who played with Brock Purdy give him anything but the highest amount of respect because they know what it takes. They know, they're in the huddle. They see the leadership. They know the reads. They know how difficult it is. And they're like, this dude is it. Everybody that plays them. Hell, Mikael Williams was on with, what was it? And we played it for you. Was on with Kay Adams. Is like, thank God they got Brock signed. Like, he already knows. I mean, he's like, that dude is for real. So you don't get that. Media might get fooled by it, not players. They don't. Speaking of Brock, this is something interesting from OTAs. Now, look, it's really, really, really early. And I guess I will give my annual, this is not annual, I probably do this 5-6 times a year. So spring training is like this. OTAs are like this. Training camp is like this. You'll get these guys who emerge, right? Oh, this is the next this or that. This guy's looking great. That guy's looking great. We've seen guys in spring training hit 460 go into the regular season and suck, and vice versa, by the way. So you just don't know, especially with young players. So we've talked about the receiver position. Do they need to add Amari Cooper? Do they need to add Keenan Allen? Do they need a veteran before Ayuk gets back? All these kind of things. Ayuk's acting all wacky, whatever. Ricky Pearsall's already hurt. What do they need to do? Well, I said this on draft night. I like Jordan Watkins. Ole Miss kid, ran a 4.37. Jackson Dart was there. And plus, you look at the history of players at a certain position in college, and I don't know why it works this way, but when a kid comes out of Penn State and can rush the passer like Micah Parsons and all the guys that have come before him, LeVar Arrington, and now you have Abdul Carter coming out with the Giants, you just give guys the benefit of the doubt, right? Penn State for a long time is linebacker U. Ohio State, they crank out wide receivers and other positions, but they're damn good wide receiver U. Like, go on and on and on. There have been certain universities that have had great quarterbacks come out, right? Quarterback U, like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like you have a, USC used to be tailback U. I mean, it was just when the guy came out of there, you're like, I'm cool with this. Like, this guy's, I think we're going to be fine. Thank you very much. So that's kind of what happened, or what has happened at Ole Miss. I mean, DK Metcalf came out of there. A.J. Brown came out of there. They've had some really solid receivers lately come out of Ole Miss. So you're like, all right. But Jordan Watkins ran a 4.37, has looked really good in camp. But my caveat with all those kind of things is, as I tell you in spring training, we'll see. So it is early in OTAs. So I just talked about, hey, everybody's encouraged by Mykel Williams and saying good things about Mykel Williams. Great. They haven't put the pads on. We'll see. Jordan Watkins, same thing. We don't know. And they could use a wide receiver to step up. And I think they're kind of waiting to see, like, could they sign Amari Cooper? They could. Could they sign Keenan Allen? They could. Those guys' best football is behind them, and they may be asking for too much money at this particular point. We'll see. I mean, they're going to play in the league this year. They're probably waiting for an injury or something so they can get themselves some leverage. But here is Brock Purdy talking about the rookie Jordan Watkins at Ole Miss.
Man, Jordan Watkins has been balling from day one. Really, he's come in and has done everything pretty right, and he's been on point. I mean, he's had a lot of explosive plays down the field, and obviously the short game, the intermediate, he's making plays all around. So I'm excited for him. Obviously, we know it's a process throughout this whole thing, from OTAs to the 40 days away to camp, and I know he knows that. But man, I'm really excited to keep working with him and for him to keep learning our offense and how we do things. But definitely a rookie that has popped out in front of everybody.
The thing is that if you decipher what players say, and this is how you get respect as you come in for a rookie, you shut your mouth and you work really hard. And the thing that Brock is essentially saying there is, this guy's busting ass. So not only is he catching passes or doing, but it's how you do it. And again, you can't lie. You can't bullshit your way through this thing. Once you get in there, players see, how does he work? How hard does he work? Is he here early? Does he stay late? Is he studying the playbook? Is he asking lots of questions? Like, there's all these things in which you gain respect. And I don't care if you're Mykel Williams and you're the first round pick. I don't care if you're Junior Bergen, the kid out of Montana that's, I think, their 7th round pick, right? It's just, how do you go about the process? And it's just, this is not a sports thing. This is a life thing. We see this all the time. Is someone motivated? Are they lazy? You see it with people that you work with. Like, damn, this guy's going to set a tone here. This guy's going to be a difference maker. You can just tell. Now, maybe there'll be injuries or this and that. Jalen Hurd came in, never could get healthy. Like, you just don't know. There are unforeseen circumstances that happen. But there are codes that you can see through this process of OTAs, training camp, and in baseball spring training, where you see like a guy's kind of got the it, and you've heard that term around Jordan Watkins. He kind of has the it, right? And if you're going to look for guys to emerge, because that's what's happened, let's give the 49ers the benefit of the doubt in this way. Have first-round picks worked out so much under John and Kyle? Well, there's a guy named Bosa who was pretty good. There's a guy that 𝐸, which I'm still kind of like, eh. But those guys got signed to second contracts. That's how I determined success for a draft pick. Did he make it to a second contract? But 𝐸𝐮 wasn't bad, but he never made it to a second contract. That's not a success to me. But they've also, the thing you have to look at is, okay, first-round picks, not as much. But you go to mid-rounds, and they've had a lot of great luck. Even last year, when you look at guys like Mustafa and Garendo, and you're going, okay, Renardo Green, all of a sudden you're going, okay, they've picked well in those rounds. So this year, who's going to emerge? Okay, it's Mykel Williams. We'll see. Who's going to emerge beyond that? Dominic Pooney did last year as a 3rd-round pick. So you start hearing things. Jordan Watkins, C.J. West, Nick Martin. You start to hear good things about guys. Work ethic. They come up to the podium like West did, and like they're confident. They're having a good time. They're not like tight and worried about things. When I start hearing about injuries or guys not coming out like Collins so far, you're kind of like, he's off to a little bit of a slow start. That doesn't mean he's not going to be good once they put on the pads. He's a 6'6", 332-pound behemoth. He might be a guy that once the pads come on, all of a sudden he starts to emerge. So right now, if Jordan Watkins runs a 4.37 and is a super athlete, makes sense that a guy running around in shorts would garner some attention, right? But when you start to hear a guy like Brock Purdy say, it's about work ethic, it's how hard he's working, he's asking questions, he's popping, which means that, he's using his athleticism, but it's also you start to hear keywords in there that after years and years of doing this, you realize, okay, that's a keyword, that's a key phrase, they start to gain confidence in him, and then you put something by his name, right? You put a little star by his name and go, okay, OTAs was good. Then you go to camp. Oh, he's looking good in camp. And then I tell you about this all the time. Gain trust, right? Jonathan Kuminga never has gained Steve Kerr's trust. Wiseman never gained the trust. Like, it happens in every professional sport. A coach by nature is very skeptical of rookies. Rookies get guys fired. Potential gets coaches fired. And so they look at a guy and they're like, can I trust him? That's the first thing on their list. Like, can I trust this young guy? They trust veterans. That's why they keep going back to him. That's why it took so long for the Giants to let go of Lamont Wade Jr. Veteran. We trust a veteran. He's got a track record. Rookie don't have a fucking clue. And the thing about it, he did it in college. Great. Hit the reset button. Means nothing. Means squat at the professional level. I don't care what you did. That got you drafted where it got you drafted, but you're going to get me fired because you're a rookie or a young player and you make mistakes. And I can't trust you. So first and foremost with a coach, and you start, same thing with a quarterback. Brock Purdy's not going to throw you the ball unless you're in the right place at the right time. You know the playbook. It's about trust. And so when he starts saying things about a guy, obviously they're going to say nice things, but when they elaborate and start using keywords and key phrases that means that they're starting to gain their trust, then the light goes on. Then you put a star by their name. And that's what Brock Purdy just did with Jordan Watkins. That's how it works. And so he's gaining the confidence of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, if he doesn't trust you, sorry, he'll go through his progressions, and if you're open, he'll try to hit you a few times, and then it's like he's going to go over to the sideline and go, Kyle, this guy doesn't have it. Like, we can't put this guy in the game. I mean, I got to throw to open receivers. I get it, but you can't put him in the game. I don't trust him. You don't trust him. Therefore, he languishes on the bench, and people go, what the what? That's the process. So that's good. That's good news from the 49ers. And that is, I think, everything from camp. So Brock and Mac, that's an interesting one. If they had switched places, who knows? Trading places, the movie. Huff, I think, is one of the big keys to the defense. And I got to get used to that, too. Now that Nick Bosa's put in my head, that used to be Huffunga. It's Bryce Huff and what he can do, but he is healthy. We got that going on. Watkins is a story in camp. We'll see how that goes. Trent, by the way, one thing I wanted to mention, too, I was talking about Trent Williams and Mikael Williams standing next to each other and how big Mikael Williams looks. The fact that Trent Williams is even here right now, these are voluntary, even though nothing in the NFL is voluntary. But for a guy like Trent Williams, for a guy like Nick Bosa, Bosa's training in Florida. They know he's not screwing around. So somebody like that to be here, Trent Williams, somebody like that who owns a gym in Oklahoma and could be just working out. And he's like, I don't need this OTA shit. I don't need this stuff. This is voluntary. I don't come to this. I'm freaking Trent Williams. I'm first ballot Hall of Fame Trent Williams. I'm like, please, I'll see you in camp. And I might not be on time for that. So you're seeing a different vibe with the 49ers because they didn't dig 2024. So Bosa's here. Trent Williams is here. These kind of guys and getting in front of the media and talking and all this kind of stuff, they mean business in 2025. Will that mean anything different? I don't know. Should, might, but that's huge. So anyway, there's an update on OTAs. Let me get to my supers, by the way. Super, anytime you want to get your questions, comments, thoughts on the show, 100% guaranteed if you hit me up with a super and support the show, which is wonderful. Hi, Harry Johnson. Great show, Jan. You enjoyed doing a show alone with a partner. What do you do for prep for solo show like this is? Take us behind the curtain. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for the compliment. First and foremost, compliments will get you everywhere on this show. To be completely honest with you and to pull back the curtain completely and to throw some shade at myself, I need to do better with guests. I've had a producer for 27 years in doing sports radio who I'm like, who's on the show today? And we talk about it. Walter did an awesome job. Ogden was in here earlier. Ogden did an awesome job. These guys behind the scenes in radio, TV, and so forth, who don't get the accolades they should because they put together the show, they're awesome. They're just awesome. My career in radio, because I started in a smaller market, I was just always used to, I produced the show, I called guests, I got some help, I developed the topics, and then I became a control freak about it, to be honest with you. Like, this is what I'm passionate about talking about. On ESPN radio, when I did national shows on ESPN, so Larry Krueger and I, for about 3 seasons, we would do the post game for the 49ers on their network, and then literally it would be like 6:50, 6 p.m., and we'd have to flip this switch, and we'd go on ESPN, and we would do the national show. We would do the national recap show on game night on ESPN radio on Sunday nights for like 3 seasons. And so then we'd have to do the recap for like 5 hours until 1 a.m. And their producers are like, this is what we do this segment. We're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. This is going to be your angle. This is going to be your angle. This is why I know, like, the talking head shows are all scripted. And the producer's like, you've got these 3 cuts that you have to get to. Cuts are sound bites that you have to get to. These are the sponsors you read before and after. And we've got 7 minutes. And if you're not out at, we'll count you down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're not out, we cut you off because you got affiliates all over the country. So you've got to be tight. But it's the producer, and they send you a sheet, a little thing like this, and this is every segment. You're not going off the script. You're not going to do this. This is what we're doing tonight. These are the sound bites that we have. These are the guests that we have. These are the reads that you got to do. Like, every segment is scripted, right? In local radio, you've got a lot more leeway to do different kind of things, and that's what I would do. In terms of the solo show, I've dug deep on this myself. I've done lots of solo shows in my career, and people think that it's harder. It's not. It's a lot easier because the vision that's in your head is what happens on the show. Both radio, I don't care what it is, radio, video, audio, whatever. The vision that you have in your head that I have every single morning on the show, not exactly, but generally speaking, I'll go off on tangents. I don't know what I'm going to say half the time. But generally speaking, it goes down the road that I want it to go to, or go through, or whatever. But in terms of doing it with every time you add an element to the show, it is more difficult to contain, if that makes sense. So when Papa and I would do a show, and I did things with different hosts, and some hosts wanted to play out the show before it went on. What are we going to say? What are we going to do? What if you do this? What if I say that? They wanted to know exactly everything. I don't like that. I want to just let it flow. Like, I throw things out there, and then we just talk about, I give you a chalkboard. I like that chalkboard because it kind of keeps me under control and where I should be, or else I'll go ADD and fly off and do 20 different things. So it helps me stay on track. But the other side of it is, if Papa and I do a show, and again, we generally know the topics. We were telepathic. We had done the show 15 years together. We knew. I didn't have to call him. We would text, so you're good. This is what I'm thinking. Cool. That's all we needed to do. And then I just threw stuff at him, and he liked to do that stuff on the air. He didn't like to do it before the show. I was the same way. So we would generally know what the topics were, but we didn't know what direction we were going. And so what I thought was an interesting angle, he might think it's a different thing, and we're thinking different things. And so on the fly, I'm having to think, okay, he wants to go here. Oh, he's not passionate about that angle. Okay, I gotta self-correct this thing. And so what you're doing is you're trying to read the other person's mind of what they're passionate about and what angle they want to do. And it's harder because now you're trying to get on the same page. And the longer you do that, the easier that becomes. But it's my vision may not be his vision on a certain day, if that makes sense. And then if you added a third person to that show, then they've got a different angle. And it becomes more and more difficult the more people you add. And so because I've done, for most of my career, most of my 30 years, a show with someone else and really been the lead guy who is, I'm the Summerall to the Madden, or I'm the Joe Buck to the Aikman, or I'm the whatever, I'm the lead guy to the guy that everybody wants to kind of hear from. And I get that, and I understand the role. And so you sacrifice for the good of a great show. That's always how I thought of myself, point guard kind of a thing, move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. And so when I got an opportunity on this show to do things, I was like, I want to show people that I can do more than just move the ball. I can actually be a scorer. And so it's not that I'm selfish in that way. And I actually have tons of friends in the industry. And I've said to myself many times after shows, I got to get this guy on and this guy on and this guy, because I love interviewing people. I love talking to people. I love getting different angles. That's why, like, when I tell you all everything, every single show, as I go off on a tangent here, a random, when I tell you all that I like differing opinions, It's the truth. I don't need to sit here and have you stroke my ego and say, great point, great point, great point, great point. I like it when people go, well, God, you just said trade Kyle Harrison. That's nuts because of what happened with Zach Wheeler. I would trade this guy. You don't have to agree. We're just talking sports, and it's not math. 2 + 2 is always 4. That's not how sports works. There's variables and everything. Your head thinks different like my head than my head, and all these different things. I'm wrong all the time, and I'm fine with it. That's just how the game is. But yeah, if I was going to self-critique, I like doing this every day. I like connecting with listeners / viewers. But if I could do a better job on something, it's, sticking my finger in the phone and going, hey, bro, come on. I hate to I don't know. That's just my personality is like, God, I don't want to bother that guy. But reality is, and that's a part of the way to grow the show too, is to bring others on. They have followers. Like yesterday, I'll give you a great example. Damon and I did a show yesterday. It was great. To be completely honest with you, Damon and I should probably do a show every single week. We have similar philosophies. We like to have a good time. We've both been doing this a long time. I respect him. I think he respects me. We work together at 95.7 The Game. I did middays, obviously, and he did, when he came over from KNBR, he did drive time. We used to compete. He was on KNBR 1050. We were doing middays at 95.7 as we were kind of growing as a station when we started. And so at one point we were rivals, and then Damon's matured into a really, really, really good talk show host. Really good. And so when we get together, we have a good time because neither of us are short on opinions, and it's good for people to hear differing opinions. And I think they enjoy that rather than having me yip yap. And maybe the whole reason I like to have lots of video and different things like that is it gives me a chance to react off things, which I enjoy. And then the second part of it is so that I don't sit here for 2 hours and go blah, 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 blah. And you're like, dude, this guy, does he ever shit it? So it gives, you the chance to hear or see something else rather than me. So there you go. Sorry, that was a very long answer to a very simple question. And if you forgot what the question was, a super from our friend Harry Johnson, who said, great show. You enjoy doing a show alone or with a partner. What do you prep for solo shows like this? Take us behind the curtain. As far as prep work goes, real quick, I'm just a junkie for all this stuff. I watch everything. I probably shouldn't have these devices attached to my body, basically, like I do. But this has just been my whole life. I mean, my whole adult life has been covering sports. So, as far as preparing is concerned, it's just that's what I do all the time. And I do have the ability, I think, through all these years to be able to pick what is important and what people care about and what's not. So like when you go, part of my job is to cut through the shit, right? So it's like, okay, I know there was OTAs, but what do I need to know, right? You as a viewer or a listener, what do I need to know? Well, I think that Mikael Williams is important. I think that Bryce Huff is important. I think the quarterback thing with what Mac Jones, where he was drafted versus Brock Purdy is important or interesting. Excuse me. Those are the things that, I try to cut through Jordan Watkins because they might need a receiver. Are they going to look at Amari Cooper, or could Jordan Watkins be that guy and save him some money here? Those things to me, picking out the little things of how I can tell that Brock Purdy is starting to trust Jordan Watkins because I've covered tons of training camps or, those kind of things. It's my job at the end of the day, I think, to cut through the clutter. What's important about the Giants game last night, long term? Last night, yeah, let's react to some of that stuff. But long term, like, what's the plan at first base? You can see what it is, and you boom, boom, boom. And you look, if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. The Kyle Harrison thing, I'm looking at that going, okay, you need a stick. He's the guy that's sticking out right now. And a couple of years ago, he was a really big prospect. And I'm not sure he's ever going to live up to it. Could it be that he could be Zach Wheeler? Yeah. And I think I saw in there that people were talking about, like a guy like Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks, after this year, I was like 2 more years and 20-something million left on his deal. And his best role is as probably at the highest level, like a setup guy. I don't think he's a closer. So Jordan Hicks is a setup guy, and you're going to pay him $11 million or $10 million. I don't think you're going to be able to do that. So there's that part of it. So anyway, sorry I went on a tangent there, but that was a good question. But yeah, you could, and again, this is why I like feedback. Put comments underneath the show or hit me up at John Lund Radio on X. And I love feedback on the show, but I, as a self-critique, and I tell myself this all the time, I love having guests on, and I should do a better job doing that. I think the show itself is a really solid show. We use a lot of sound. We hopefully have a lot of laughs and all those kind of things. You're informed. Everybody gets to hang out in the chat line if you're hanging out on the YouTube channel. But the reality is I need to do a better job of that. There's no doubt. Let's see, what else do we got here today? Thank you for the follow-up. Super. One thing I always wonder, when people work in sports, do you still enjoy sports when it becomes your livelihood and a way to support a family? That's a great question too. The best way to answer that is, yeah. Sometimes it becomes a job but it's a great job. Like I have lots of friends who were in this business with me. Like my son's a great example. He's at the Walter Cronkite Broadcast School at Arizona State, which was one of the best in the country. He's going back on Monday, back to cover baseball for the Cape Cod League. And he's learning now, for example, he was the beat writer for ASU basketball. He was the beat writer for ASU baseball this year. He finally got a paid job that was within the university. Then he got a paid job to cover ASU football and ASU training camp at the same time with the same company, baseball. So he was trying to juggle work with our school with all of this work. And now he's going back without a break because he's been writing all about ASU baseball and they were in the college football playoff. And now today he's writing profiles for players who are going to be in the Cape Cod, their first chance at the wood bat. Buster Posey was there, all sorts of, he's going to cover, I'm sure, a bunch of former future major league players. And he has had no break whatsoever. And people are like, oh, boo-hoo, you got to write about sports. And it's like, yeah, but it becomes his job. Like, he was going to go to San Francisco last Saturday. ASU won. He had to write an article. He had to stay home and watch the game. And it's just the way it is. Marv Albert wrote a book one time called I'd Love To, But I Have a Game. And while you're sitting there going, well, guy, you get to do play-by-play. I get it. But like Papa, for example, all week long, that's all he does. And then Saturday, you would think, right, he's going to party and have a great time. The game Sunday, he's prepared. He always, when I would travel with him, we might go to an early dinner or something, but he would always stay in on a Saturday night. Everybody else is out partying. He's prepping his final stuff and his final boards for the game tomorrow. He takes it incredibly seriously. You should. You have a great responsibility doing what you do. So I'm not saying you're splitting atoms. You're not saving lives, but in this business, it's like you want to be as prepared as anybody else. I've always prided myself on outworking everybody. So I don't lose my passion for it, but it is a job. Don't get me wrong. I mean, no matter what you do for a living, and you may have loved it at one point, I love sports, but I'm not a fan, if that makes sense. I want the local teams to do well because that's good for my show. I like storylines because it's good for my show. That's how I would always think about it when I was on the radio for years. I wanted the Giants to win because it was good for business. I wanted the Niners to win because it was good for business. And then you grow into, you get to know these players or certain coaches. Like I really like Bob Melvin. I really like Kyle Shanahan. I really like John Lynch. I've interacted with them so many times that I have an opinion on who they are as people. And I like them and I want them to win. So I know people within the organization. Bob Sargent, who's the director of broadcasting for the 49ers, is a good friend of mine. He's an awesome guy. He works for the 49ers. He lives and dies with the success and failures of the 49ers more than anyone I know. I was at the Super Bowl. He sat in one. We're in the radio booth, and he sat right behind Greg and Tim, and so did I. And when they threw that touchdown and they lost, I just looked at him. He looked at me. I knew not to say anything to Bob because he was devastated. And we probably didn't talk for 3 or 4 days after that. And we hardly talk about that moment. But I just looked at him and I felt so bad. And I felt bad for the organization and a lot of people within it, but nobody more than him. I remember looking at him thinking, I just feel horrible for this guy because he wants nothing more than for the 49ers, his team that he's worked for 20 years or more, maybe 25 or 26 by now. And 94 was the last time they got the Super Bowl. So yeah, you wanted to win for all sorts of things, but that's a good friend of mine that was hurting like a mother that they didn't win that game. And I felt horrible for him. And we didn't say one word. We just looked at each other. I didn't say sorry. I know he lives and dies with it. I would go into the booth pre-half and post, and I'd go in at halftime. And if they weren't winning, he was in a terrible mood. And it was just that he lives and dies with every single Sunday, man. Like, you're a fan and I get it. And it's big for you, but he works for the organization and has forever and knows everybody from really well from Jet on down. So, yeah, I want those teams to win because I know people within the organization who it literally affects their daily life. And you get to know them. So my love for sports is not lessened. It's just I have a different angle on it than if I was a fan. It's just different. And the one thing I would say, and I say this to media members all the time because I speak to young people in the industry, you cannot lose your love for sports. So what you have to do is sometimes you have to take your media hat off and you got to go to the game and you got to drink beers and you got to hang out and you got to scream and yell as a fan because you can't forget what it's like. And I do that all the time. I just go, I don't use my media pass or anything. I just go as a fan because you have to remember. And I know that's weird to say, but you have such a jaded angle as I'm sitting in a box and I'm writing, reading, getting ready to do interviews. I'm thinking about it from that standpoint. I'm not thinking about the wins, the losses, whatever, but you just inevitably become enthralled with the team because you cover them for so long. But I can tell you this too. It's never been like this in terms of like there's true fandom amongst media. Some of them become fanboys or fangirls about this whole thing. And it used to be like objective right down the middle. And now it's like it's out there in the open. It's like a lot of the media members fanboy on it. And that part has really changed over the years. So again, long answer, short question. So there you go. Random things. You can't say that we didn't go off on random things today. So there you go. Sorry you don't have a caboose. I had a couple of great cabooses, and I did turn the airplane story into a caboose that I sent out as a short yesterday. So if you didn't see that, let me make sure that we've played all the video. Ramos hit Mac, Brock on Watkins. Let's see. Bosa on Huff, Bosa on Williams. The Ramos hit, the Daniel Johnson catch. Yeah, I think we got everything today. So there we go. Lots of good stuff today. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, supers, anything going on today that I may have missed? Let me see here. All right. Do remember, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, not only the supers, which we're about ready to finish her up here, but also hit me up with the comments right underneath here. A good place to catch me is at John Lund Radio, and we are live on X today at John Lund Radio, so you can subscribe there. Another great way is, you know this, John Lund Unleashed. Go to johnlundunleashed.com. It's very simple. It's the website for the show. We've got the blog there. We've got archives for the YouTube shows. Podcasts are there, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. If you're watching the show later, it's a great place to go to catch up on the show as well, johnlundunleashed.com. So make sure that you stay up with us there. And let me give you one more push for my good friend, Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. Don't go anywhere. Click on that QR code. Did you know, in fact, she's gone by now, my wife at 9:45 this morning went to see Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. That's right. She's having another procedure on her foot. It's feeling great, but she wants to keep it going. So I told you, shoulder, elbow, we had all these ice packs and all these things all the time. Now we watch TV, nothing. She's like a mummy with all these like ice packs on her, nothing. And we were in Vegas a couple months ago. I told you we were in Arizona this past weekend. She's walking around. We're walking, we're hiking, we're doing all these things. She couldn't have done that without Dr. Riopel and the stem cell that he's been doing with her. So if you've got pain, I'm telling you, Dr. Riopel can help. He was one of the first in California to do stem cell. It is life-changing. I'm not going too far when I say that. So click on that QR code right there. If you don't get to it, I'll give you another second there. If you don't get to it, then just look him up. Your favorite search engine. Riopel is Riopelle. Riopelle. Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. He's right there in San Ramon. So if you're in the East Bay, no brainer. If you're in the Bay Area at all, hell, fly in if you're not. Well worth your time. He is awesome. And then not only is he doing the stem cell with my wife, who's there now, he also does the low T with me. So I've had that for years. And I was doing it before I even knew of Dr. Riopel, but he's like, hey, you know what? We just do a real simple blood test, and then we do a quick procedure that it's like for 4 months, you're good to go. And I'm like, tell me more, because I was doing weekly shots. And now I don't have to do those anymore. Feeling great. Everything is good. You probably don't want to hear this from me, but the libido, very good. As far as the weight loss and all the different things that go along with that, and just being in a better mood and higher metabolism and just feeling like yourself is generally the thing. He helps with that. And it's, like I said, it's a quick blood test. You get to up to the levels that you want to be at, and that's what Dr. Riopel does. So again, click on that QR code. That's not all he does. He does, and the group there over there is a great group of people, and they help with all things, men, women, all sorts of different procedures. So check it out. Dr. Jeffrey Riopel in San Ramon, Riopelle, Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. And please Tell him that John Lund sent you over there, and he will treat you extra special, if you know what I mean. Nothing illegal. Somebody's like, what do you mean if I know what you mean? You know what I mean. I can give you a good deal. So check out Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. All right, that is it for episode 158 on this Thursday. The new guy, Daniel, we'll go through it real quick. The new guy, Daniel Johnson. Who? The new closer should be Randy Rodriguez. Harrison hurt. Could he be traded? Ramos, big hit. You saw that emotion flow out of him. Can they do that again today? Eldridge got a hit in AAA yesterday. It's not going to be too long if he keeps that up until he's up here. I don't think that Dominic Smith is the answer. Day baseball, great pitching matchup between Dylan Cease and our guy who was the pitcher of the month in May, right? Robbie Ray. There's Robbie Ray right there. That is a great pitching matchup. Make it out to the yard today if you can. Brock and Mac. Huff is key. A little Bosa talk as well. I didn't mention this. Finals, finally. God, the NBA has it wrong. We've waited so long. It's like, oh, yeah, they haven't played the finals yet. OKC could be on the verge of, and I've said this before, of a dynasty. They take on the Pacers tonight. Random things. Thank you, Harry Johnson, for making me go on random things today. And I apologize. We did not have a caboose today, and that is unacceptable. So there you go. That is a Thursday edition of John Lund Unleashed. If you missed this, hit us with the comments underneath. I will get back to all of those comments. Hit me up on X if you've got questions, comments, thoughts on the show at John Lund Radio, and Instagram at John Lund Radio as well. Please make sure you're subscribed to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Please get those alerts on because we'll send out more stuff throughout the day, and you don't want to miss out on that. And hit us with a like before you get out of here because that helps the algorithm. Thank you for that. And remember, please subscribe to the Bay Area Sports Collective because we've got a bunch of podcasts and YouTube shows on there that I think you will enjoy. Until tomorrow for the Friday edition of the show, everyone have a wonderful Thursday, and we'll talk.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!